Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I just wanted to talk to y'all about something today that's really been on my mind for the past couple of weeks. Y'all know that I have a lot of problems dealing with trauma from my childhood, but it seems like as I get older, the thoughts in my mind become more prevalent and more upsetting, I guess, trying to say. I think, during my young days as a mother, I was so busy working and taking care of the house and taking care of 3 children that I really never had a chance to dwell on my past as a child. But now that I've gotten older, I'm not caught up in that world, every day. Although I do stay very busy helping my daughter with the grandchildren, but I still have a lot of time to think and reminisce, and that can really get you into trouble if you're not careful. But it's like, especially every day when I wake up in the mornings, I'm busy, I'm drinking my coffee and catching up on the news and reading comments on my videos and everything. But then after I eat breakfast and take my shower and get dressed, and maybe I pop in the car to go run errands, or it's time for me to go over to Jill's and be there for when the kids get off the bus. It's when I get in my car and start the engine that I start with this shoulda, woulda, coulda. Sometimes it just really drives me crazy. I want it to go away. But, that's just a common idiom that we use. I should have done this, or if I would have done that, and if I could have done this, then circumstances in your life would have worked out differently. And I know with me, I'm always thinking, well, I should have done that. The main thing that I regret in my life is not finishing college. I just feel like I should have done everything that I could to finish. I'm still very shy, but I was extremely shy when I was a young child. I didn't even talk until I was 5 years old. The little bit of talking that I did do was baby talk. I don't know why, if my parents talked to me baby talk, or my sisters talked baby talk, because I was the baby of 2 older sisters and an older brother. And then I was just shy, so when I did talk, it just came out like a mumble, like baby talk. So then when I started to school, I was absolutely terrified of going to school. I had no friends. I really don't even remember playing with my sisters. There are a couple of things that I do remember. I know that we had a jump rope, and we would tie one end of it to a limb on a tree, and then my sister Bobby or Angie would take the other end of it and turn it so that I could jump my jump rope. So I remember doing that, and we had a Monopoly game, and we had Chinese checkers, and I do remember playing. I know I've learned how to play Monopoly, but it seemed like, from what I remember, after I learned how to play it and I loved it so much, then there was nobody there to play it with me. And I used to beg Mama, oh, please play Monopoly with me. I loved it so much, and she just never, ever did. She never did anything with me that took any of her time. So I would set up the Monopoly board and put the money on the other side and give me my money, and set up the little hotel pieces and the little houses and everything. And I would roll the dice for I would have an imaginary opponent. So I would roll the dice for my imaginary opponent, and then move the token, usually an iron or a puppy dog or something like that, however many spaces for my imaginary opponent. And then I would throw the dice, and I just played Monopoly by myself, although it wasn't much fun. I don't remember enjoying it. And I reckon I did Chinese checkers the same way. I would love to play Chinese checkers now. I'm going to have to, maybe I should order a Chinese checkered board and play with Isa and Ife. I think they would enjoy that. They do have regular checkers, and they do have a Monopoly game, and I have played that with them before, and they loved it, and I loved it too. It did remind me of my childhood. But what I was saying, it seems like when I get in the car every day, every morning, and I'm waiting a couple of minutes for my engine to warm up, I just have this rush of thoughts I should have done this. I should have finished college. But going back to me being so shy, I knew nothing about, I didn't even know what orientation was when I got a letter from Pearl River Junior College saying you have to come for orientation. I had no idea what they were talking about. I was so sheltered, and even though, I did pretty good in high school, and I made decent grades except in math. I just could not figure out math, and I still can't to this day, but I did graduate with honors. I really, there was still a lot of things that I was really dumb about, especially the world, because I grew up in a little town of just maybe one or two people over 2,000, and I lived a very sheltered life. And even though I started dating when I think I was 13 when I had my first date with a senior, a guy that was 18. Now nowadays that would be against the law, but I was forced. Mother, even at the age of 13 and 14, she was saying, hurry up and get married and get out of the house. And, she just hated me. She hated me being there. She didn't want to do anything for me. She didn't want to go to any trouble. I had to walk a very straight and narrow path so that I wouldn't get, screamed at and cursed at and beat. And, when I was 14, I've told this story before, that my father nearly beat me to death. I had gotten into an argument with Mother that day. I don't remember what it was about, but she just started screaming and yelling and cursing me out. And I said, you're a bitch. Well, she couldn't wait until Daddy got home from work and to tell him that I had called her the B word. And he took his belt, which had a buckle on it. It was a thick leather belt with a buckle, and he just beat me and beat me and beat me and beat me. He just wouldn't stop. He hit me across my eye over here with the buckle, and I just had a huge cut and bleeding all down my face. And he beat my arms and my legs so bad. My legs were bleeding, and I was just bruised all over, and I couldn't go to school. I had to miss about 2 days of school. And I was 14, so this would have been 1965, and they had just come out with the black, I believe they were pantyhose, the black stockings with the designs on them. So I had a pair of those, and I wore a long sleeve shirt. We couldn't wear pants back then. We were made to wear dresses. I think in the 70s, students were allowed to wear pants, but we had to wear a dress. So I wore those black pantyhose and stockings to hide the cuts and bruises on my legs. But I didn't tell anybody at school. With the bruise on my eye, I just told everybody that I had run into the open bedroom door at night. But anyway, I keep blaming myself for things that I shoulda, woulda, and coulda done. But then I have to remember that I was so limited in what I was able to do, living in the circumstances that I was raised in, and not giving any opportunities or any encouragement to do any better. And it's probably just a miracle that I even graduated from high school, and I did finish one semester of college, and that was on a scholarship for being in the band and being a majorette. We were called the String of Pearls, and I think there were 21 of us. And we had the beautiful sequin uniforms and the batons and all of those fun things. But when football season ended and I was no longer a majorette, I was just, there was no more scholarship money, and I didn't know anything. Nobody told me anything about applying for a scholarship or applying for a student loan or anything. I was just so naive, so young and naive. And Mother kept telling me, hurry up and get married and get out of the house. And I had met Scotty. He was working at a Gulf oil station. The interstates had just been built then. They were just completed, like in the early 60s. So, they had built these gas stations at the exits up and down the interstate highways, and Scotty was working there as a gas station attendant, and I met him. I didn't love him. I didn't even really like him, but I knew I had to get married. Mother just wouldn't let me live at home anymore. And she stopped giving me money for a meal ticket. I was hungry. I was starving at school. And yeah, I would go, and I did go back in January, but I just couldn't stay there any longer. So Scotty asked me to marry him, and we had a big wedding March the 1st, 1971, and got married, and I was miserable. So anyway, I just wanted to talk to y'all to see if you struggle with any of these issues, and if you say that idiom over and over in your brain, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. You know, I should have finished college. I could have had a better life, and I would have made something out of myself and had a career had I stayed in college. So I'm trying not to dwell on that, because that was then and this is now. And because of the way that my life did turn out, even with all of the regrets and mistakes, I have a beautiful family now, a beautiful son, beautiful daughter, a beautiful son-in-law, and a beautiful daughter-in-law, and wonderful grandkids. So anyway, just go ahead and write whatever you feel like talking about in the comments, and I will read it and respond to it. So y'all please give me a thumbs up and share, and if you're new here, please subscribe. And y'all just keep on coming back. Bye.